My sisters and brothers, may we speak, hear, and live the truth, come whence it may, cost what it will. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Well, good morning, everyone. Antoinette Green and I are just, there's my hands. Delighted to be with you this morning for this double shot of a Samaritan Sunday. We had a trifecta last week. That was exciting with St. Luke's, Calvary, and St. George's, but you're picking up where they left off. So we're really excited to be with you. If you don't know who I am, I'm the director of Samaritan Ministry, and really honored with Antoinette to be sharing our impact, and especially Antoinette's success story, which she'll share in a minute. But first, I want to remind you a little bit about who we are and what we do, and indeed how we've adapted in this pandemic period, especially to serve our participants, which is no easy feat. So anyway, welcome again, and let me share a little bit about that. How many of you, and you can put your hands up if you want, have heard of the fishing metaphor? You know, if you give a person a fish, they can survive for a day, but if you teach them how to fish, they'll thrive for a lifetime. Some version of that. Yeah, we didn't invent that metaphor, but it's extremely relevant to describing what we do. We teach our program participants how to fish through a method called Next Step that we pioneered over 30 years ago, 34 to be precise, which is a combination of collaborative casework. It really is a partnership with our participants, and expert coaching. And it's metaphorically speaking, a hand up. And if you think of the Good Samaritan parable and the person in the ditch, it's exactly that, a hand up rather than a hand out. It's change work, not charity. And as you probably figured out, we call our clients participants because they participate in their own change work. They set their own goals, identify their own, and take their own necessary next steps to meet those goals. Also that they can participate in the change that they want to see in themselves. Change that we say that leads to a sustainable, purpose-driven life. Both of those components are really important. Sustainability, but also a sense of purpose. You know, you can have a job but not feel like it's anything related to your vocation, your calling, or your purpose. So all of that is part of how we're teaching folks how to fish. Now, as you might imagine, many of our participants come to us either in a state of homelessness, underemployment, or unemployment, or some combination. In the metaphor of the Good Samaritan parable, they're stuck in the ditch of life. And indeed, as many of you know, stuck is the term we use to describe it. It's our technical term, if you will, to describe their condition. Now I say they, referring to our participants, but isn't that our condition? Is that not the human condition to be stuck? Yeah, raise your hand if you've ever been stuck. I should see, let's see, how many? 94 hands up, yeah, or 94 additions. Yeah, I mean, I don't see all the hands, but I know that everyone knows that experience. And you see, what our participants receive, we all need to receive from some source, namely rigorous compassion is what we call it. Because we never do this alone, right? We've all been stuck at one point or another. And rigorous compassion is perhaps something we take for granted. I'd say just compassion, but compassion is all too misunderstood. Because compassion is really two things. Rigorous compassion is really two things. On the one hand, it's support and encouragement. And this comes largely from our network of family and friends. But when I say that, I mean your coaches, your teachers, your clergy, your, everybody that's part of that circle that gives you support and encouragement. That's the thing that comes easy for us. We know about support and encouragement, right? We all need that to become our full selves and get unstuck as well. But it's also, it also includes challenge and accountability. It's what your parent or your child even, or your pastor or your coach or your teacher says that you would rather not hear, right? It's the truth in love. How many know what I'm talking about? I mean, if you're married, you certainly know what I'm talking about. If your spouse only says sweet nothings to you and never holds you accountable or challenges you, then something's clearly wrong in that relationship. Speaking for myself. So, and again, let's call it the network of family and friends. That's the source of that for us. So one way to understand who Samaritan Ministry is that we are that network of family and friends for those who either have none or really do not have one that's functional, right? We are that family for many participants. And as you can imagine, that's been especially critical in this pandemic period. So let me pivot a little bit and tell you how we have responded in this period, especially as a family for folks that have limited or no such network. Think about it this way: the next step methodology that we pioneered, that I mentioned earlier, requires typically participants to communicate, to initiate their own change, to take ownership of their own change, and in short, to be in communication and engagement with their caseworker. Given the crisis that we're in, we discerned that we had to turn the table, that we had to be aggressively reaching out to them in this crisis, going the extra mile, if you will, is the metaphor we used, to be sure that they had what they need, just the basic essentials, given how paralyzing this time can be, how limited their progress on goals could be compared to what it was, and the fact that obviously unemployment is rampant among other challenges relative to the disease. And we also, as part of that outreach, wanted to give them the coaching, the encouragement, the support they needed to do what they could do. I mean, everybody's clear what our limitations are in this time. The more challenging thing is, what are the opportunities? How can we empower one another? And in this case, how can we empower our participants to be ready when that recovery comes, that is surely coming and arguably has even started to some degree, because there is a lot that they can do. And on that note, our biggest pivot and point of pride at Samaritan Ministry in this time has been the virtual launch of our Strive job readiness training. So, we can't do the kind of casework in its fullness that we're known for, the very personal one-on-one casework, except by phone and electronic communication. But we were able to pivot rather well back in April to do what has been 3 weeks and is now a 6-week job readiness training called Strive, which is critical, obviously, right? Because as the economy opens back up, folks need to get jobs, and they need to be competitive in getting those jobs. So that's been tremendous. We're actually, truth be told, running 2 cohorts of the training contemporaneously, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And the course goes 6 weeks because people can't be on Zoom for 6 hours a day, but 3 hours is what it is. So a longer course, but a shorter period at once. Now, Antoinette is a graduate from this training, but going back to 2018, but she's a Samaritan Star because she has sustained her employment since graduation right on through this pandemic, and obviously now is part of our Speakers Bureau, and has a tremendous story to tell. So glad that she's here. She's the star of this show, if you will, and it's my pleasure to introduce Next Step Strive graduate Antoinette Green.
Good morning. Like David said, my name is Antoinette Green. I am a graduate at Strive. I come from the Ward 8 community of Anacostia, which is in the southeast side of DC. I originally came affiliated with Samaritan Ministries when I signed up for a program for Strive at the Skyland Workforce. Like you said, then it was a 3-week program that helped with gaining short-term skills for employment. But through that 3 weeks, I gained more than just short-term skills. They was able to help me find, and not just find a job, but find a career. From the coordinators and the teachers at the program, I was really able to grab a career that I do like a lot. I work in the hospitality field. From there, they after I graduated the program, they still constantly check up on me, even to this day, even though it's been 2 years. They check in not just to find out about my work status, but they actually know me and my case. So they do check on my son, who at the time was 2, and now he's about to be 4. And I did come to the program. I was unemployed, and I was also on the brink of homelessness. So through the Strive program, I was able to not only find a job, but housing. So I'm happy to say now through them, they were able to help me to be stable financially. Also, they do check with people mental health. So mental health is also a big thing that they help with. From Strive, I was able to meet with David, and that's how I became affiliated with Samaritan Ministries, who isn't that, I will say Samaritan is not just an organization. I'm happy to call them my family. Samaritan Ministries actually gave me the courage to actually come up and speak to people about my story, because they did let me know my story was unique and that there is people just like me out here who needs, just a glimpse of hope, and from my story that could help them or help the next person be put into a position where they're not stuck like I felt I was. That encouragement, that uplifting that David and everyone at Samaritan gave me is what's helping me help my team at my current job. Like I said, I work in the hospitality field, so I'm a supervisor at a hotel. Hospitality's been hit very hard during this time of COVID. So a lot of people in my job have unfortunately either been sick, have a family member who's been sick or has passed, or unfortunately has been furloughed indefinitely. So during this time, having someone that's still encouraging you to go forth is really important. So the encouragement and all the skills that I gained from Samaritan Ministries, I'm pushing forth to give people hope like how they gave me. So I'm here speaking to you guys just to let you know that, through support, you don't know who you're giving hope to or what people have been through, but you can help them, like David said, get out of feeling stuck. So thank you guys for listening to my story.